Hi, this is Allison Lee Rosenfeld, and you may know me as the voice of Bonnie from Pokemon, and you are watching Anime Egotists. Will you please take care of my big brother? Happy watching!
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where I don't think they would mess with our hair and Boruto because they just wouldn't acknowledge us.
Yeah, we're too much background characters for the main series.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
That's correct. Anyways, my name's Alex, and I'd like to think I could at least eat half a plate of the curry of life. No more than that, though.
I might get a spoonful down. I'm Richard.
That's
I
correct.
I hope I can be able to at least stomach like 2 or 3 bites. Maybe not half, maybe not a spoon. Just like 2 or 3, then I'd probably just be like, all right, I'm good.
All right. And we are joined. For this video, we wanted an expert. We wanted somebody who knew what they were talking about, but everybody else was busy. And then we wanted somebody who had no idea what they were talking about, and they were kind of they were gone too. So we got ToonZ N GoonZ back in the studio, and by studio I think his house.
Specifically, the closet in my office space, because the closet actually has enough space for my desk and my computer setup, so it's like the perfect little area.
Correct. And it's good to have you. And we're talking about Naruto because we like talking about it. And we've said before that there are times with anime video games that they're not always perfect.
Exactly. There have been some really great ones, but God, have there been some ones that really don't live up to the hype.
Yeah. And so people are always wondering, well, if you guys wanted to create a video game for a franchise, what would it be like? And that's why we're here, for Naruto. And yeah, we've done this video before, but that was like 4 years ago or whatever, and nobody was really watching the channel back then. And
God.
we're going to talk about what we want in a dream Naruto game. But before we get into that, I just want to say once again, thank you so much to Emparts for the amazing thumbnail they did depicting us. Hopefully making good ideas, but probably not. But please support Emparts and their wonderful art. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The thumbnail was, I saw it and I just started like laughing. I was like, man, this is so awesome. Like, it is such a well done piece of art that I just couldn't help but smile and laugh when I saw it.
That's right. Hey, but I guess we should get into it. Shall we start?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. So, as much as I love games like the Ultimate Ninja games and Storm, I don't want another Storm game. I love Storm. I play it all the time, but I want something different this time.
exactly. I think we might all be on the same page. I'm interested to know what y'all's thoughts are about how to do this game.
If that's the case, then why don't you go ahead and say it, since we all know what we're talking about.
So I'm pretty sure we're all kind of on the same page of open world create a character style of this game.
I mean, I was going to go with the Naruto card game, but I had all my notes prepared for that. But I can come up with something. Hold on.
Maybe then I have notes for that as well. I just have to go back and find them.
A Naruto card game. That's actually an interesting. I'll admit while you guys are, I did not think about that, but I would definitely be interested depending on which style of play it is. Because we got tons of card games now with the Pokemon card game, Yu-Gi-Oh! There's even a Marvel mobile card game. It's like Marvel Snap. It's really interesting in how it plays. So I would love to see kind of your notes and your mind on like how that would work and how you would incorporate it.
Oh no! Oh, this was just a bit. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I got all excited.
Hey, that's the point of this channel. We excite you, and then we find ways of disappointing you. We find new ways of disappointing people every time.
Yeah, I think there is a Naruto card game though.
Oh my gosh!
That's why I said it, you idiot. Oh, okay, I knew I should have gotten the monkey instead.
Oh.
But yes, open world created character. It's something that everybody and their mother has talked about. Seriously, there are probably mothers who are old enough to, they appreciate Naruto and want this, but you have to start somewhere. So character creation is probably a good place to start. I'm not gonna lie.
Which we kind of got, because that was the first thing that made us really excited about Shinobi Strikers when it was first coming out. Was that part seemed like, oh, you're making your own character, so That at least made me kind of excited. But again, when I found out it was more of a hero fighter kind of thing, that fell off for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, but now in a perfect world, and I guess this is a perfect world for this hypothetical game, it would be a case of everybody saying, oh, I want to start in my favorite village. I want to start in any village I want. For the sake of argument, I think we should probably go with that for this case.
Yeah, I could really see it being something where if you pick one of like the big 5 of the villages with their Kage and all that, maybe you end up with like a little less right at the start, or you get a bit more customization points if you use one of the smaller villages like the grass or the waterfall village. I could see something like that being implemented.
I never once thought, oh, I want my character to be in the waterfall or the grass village, but you're thinking of other people, so that's cool.
I just some of those were pretty unique early on in the series. They fell off when they focused on the kind of 5 big nations, but otherwise it'd be interesting to catch some of the smaller villages involved.
Yeah, and as a case, I think it should be a case of depending on what village, because I feel like in some ways you have to be stuck in some cases. You should be able to pick what clan you're a part of. For example, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be part of Gaara's clan and be in the Stone Village. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense in some areas.
Exactly. I think, especially early on, it should also limit like what jutsus you can use. So,
Oh, 100%. And I'm glad you I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my notes that I did incorporate was like similar to like what y'all are saying. You're kind of locked in. So let's say you do decide you wanted to be a part of a specific clan or a specific village, and then one of the options that it would give you to choose would be your chakra nature, because we know that there are different natures, and that kind of limits, or not limit, that kind of lets you expand on which jutsu using your chakra nature. If you use a specific chakra nature, you're kind of locked into that one throughout the game, and your jutsus, you might not be able to use them based on your nature, or you might be able to increase your, like, you might get like different stat boost or different stat like changes based on that chakra nature.
Yeah, I agree. And even if it's not a case of, oh, you're stuck to, like I've said before, my character would be, chakra release would be water. Even if it's a case of, oh, I want to learn other stuff, it should not be easy. It should be a process. It's not just as simple as, oh, you got a new weapon, so here's your new weapon. It should be a case of, you want to learn fire style? It's gonna take a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I could definitely see it being one where you can't use the biggest jutsus from the other chakra natures, and then you have different aspects where maybe eventually you can learn that, but you really only master one fully.
Yeah. And if we're talking about jutsu, I guess we should get into one of the bigger ones, Kekkei Genkai. Like we talked about before, those are blood techniques. You have to be part of a certain clan. Those you should not be able to learn from other people. Like, even if you're like hypothetically you're super close with one person in particular, you shouldn't be able to use it. Like, now stuff like the shadow possession or the mind transfer, those aren't Kekkei Genkai. You can learn those, but blood jutsu, like you shouldn't be able to learn those unless it's your specific clan.
Yeah, and you kind of brought it up. It sounds like you and I kind of agree. If it bringing in mentors, kind of like what you got in the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games, where you can learn some of the special techniques from like a specific master from that clan or group.
Yeah, or to get ToonZ kind of thinking, and hey, I could do my best to build bonds and chemistry with these people, or they have a sacred scroll. I'm gonna steal that. This is mine.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was something that I took from Elden Ring. I took a lot of inspiration from Elden Ring when I was kind of building my hypothetical Naruto game. And one thing I definitely thought about was like, yes, let's create, especially if it's going to be open world, it's going to create the entire Naruto world. Let's have like certain places on the map where you can go, and it's a one chance for you to be able to get that scroll or get whatever thing that you need. And if you get it, then great. If you don't, sorry, you're locked out. You have to do a new game in order to get it. But it's like that would create real world consequences. I think the idea of being able to do something like that, and then it changes the entire landscape of the game, because now, let's say you go do another village, you steal a sacred scroll. Now you're an enemy of every village that is allies with them. Now you could just be randomly somewhere on the map and you pass a ninja with the of that village, and now they're going to try to fight you. They're going to try to kill you because they know that you are the enemy that they're looking for.
Yeah. And conversely, let's say you see somebody stealing a scroll and you stop them. It could be like Grand Theft Auto in case of, do I take this scroll for myself or do I return it? And if you return it, then they see that as, oh, you could have stolen from us, but you did us a solid. So that could build relationships between the two villages. So if you get attacked and somebody remembers, oh yeah, that's the guy who saved our scroll, they'll be able to help you out.
I could see this being a very interesting way in adding like a whole diplomatic process where every playthrough could be completely different. In one game, you could have the Hidden Leaf and the Hidden Mist be completely against each other, and the next, if you're playing as the Hidden Stone, they may team up to try to hurt you if you've done stolen their scrolls or done something diplomatic against them.
Exactly. But we've talked about learning different techniques, and I'm sorry, but the way you do it through Shinobi Strikers and Xenoverse, to me, isn't really the best way of doing it. You complete a mission, and you gain enough experience so you automatically learn the technique, or you complete the mission and you still don't learn the technique. Looking at you, Xenoverse. I think there should be a clear-cut way of something. Like, for example, if I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but let's see, since I'm a water ninja, let's see I see my sensei use a water technique and I don't know what it is. I could ask him, hey, do you think you could train me in this technique? It should not be just simple, oh, beat this mission, you should be good. It should be a case of, hypothetically, let's say your chakra control is not good enough, and he tells me, hey, you're good at everything else, but your chakra control is terrible. If you don't get it right, this technique's not going to work for you. Too. And it's a case of building it up, getting better, and you finally end up learning it. Now, of course, some techniques should be ridiculously easy. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of, oh, you just randomly learn this new jutsu just based on nothing, because it never worked that way in the show or the manga.
Yeah, stuff like the S-rank jutsu, so the Chidori, the Rasengan, all of those should definitely be ones that require a lot to unlock. You don't get those right away. Like in a lot of games, you end up already having those unlocked for some of your characters.
Yeah.
And
sorry, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna say you mentioned it, and it's kind of a thing that I think that incorporated into a Naruto game would be perfect for that kind of thing, is having a stat block in your game where it's like when you gain experience, you level up, you put points into, okay, I have more health now, I can take more damage, my chakra control is better, I can do more chakras, I can do more jutsu at a time and can do more of them in a fight. Or like, oh, I'm better at jutsu, so I can learn more jutsus versus, oh, I can only learn like 3 and then I'm locked in on those 3, I'd have to forget one to learn a new one. And I think that using those stats like that in the way of like, oh, you have to level up, you have to get better, you have to gain experience in order to put points into these stat lines, I think that it would help. It would make it a lot more believable versus like you were saying, like, oh, just go into your mentor. Hey, can I learn this? Oh yeah, go finish this mission. All right, you've learned it. Like it makes it, at least in my mind, it makes it a lot more rewarding.
Exactly.
To be able to have that like learning curve, almost, if you will.
Yeah. And obviously, if you're still in the academy, you learning S-rank techniques is kind of like, what the heck? Like, what's even the point of being here? You graduate, get out, go away.
Which is, I guess, technically you could follow in Naruto's footsteps and do it that way with multi-shadow clone jutsu, but
I guess, but everything else will. Speaking of that, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, Richard, because I kind of want there to be an academy system.
I tend to agree. The one thing I thought you were going to mention though was limitations. Like with your clan, I would also limit your chakra based on what clan you pick, because that's something they bring up a lot in. Like Kakashi, who has a lot of really powerful jutsus, doesn't have the chakra reserves to go the same way all out Naruto can at the end of the series, because that's Naruto's combination of Uzumaki and the Tailed Beast, which
And plot convenience.
But we'll get to
Convenience.
that part of the stuff later, I imagine.
Yeah, sure. And I do agree, and before we move on, I do agree that there should be a case of, and I was sort of getting to that in my notes, because I was saying, along with Kekkei Genkai and whatever type of clan you have, there should be weaknesses. Like, obviously, if you're Richard, you said your character would be part of the Nara clan. Intelligence for you should be high, but also stamina is super low for them. For me, I said Hozuki clan. Defense is good, durable. Lightning release, not something I can deal with.
Exactly. There's
Fair.
so much that would go into creating your character and who you would plan to go up against in this sort of game.
Yeah, so if you have a band of Uchiha coming up against you and I'm like, all I have is Taijutsu, I can make this work. This makes it so your teams are balanced and not everybody's doing the same thing. Because if I see one more group of 5 people using Nine Tails chakra, I'm gonna lose it. Like, have some variety, please.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that would be kind of the baseline of what we're looking for, is that no two characters that are created when playing this game are exactly alike. Because there's so many options, there's so many things that you can do, so many villages that you can start out with. And it's like making things that work for each one kind of is the fun of it. Because then you get to go in, let's say you do get a character they're really proficient in taijutsu, not a lot of chakra, and so now you're having to fight through the game playing up against guys that their chakra is like S rank, and you're having to try to like go up against them. It's like, I don't have any chakra, I'm basically Rock Lee right now trying to like go up against them, and that's your disadvantage, because now you're playing against guys who they can essentially kill you with their chakra.
And then at the end, it's like, hey, we won. Yeah, our taijutsu expert took care of it. Well, what's he doing now? Oh, is he still fine? No, he's eating cream puffs over there. I still can't read them all this time later. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, great. We've got a crossover here.
Exactly. But
Woo.
getting back to like the academy, I do think there should be a case of obviously, like, you're not getting thrown out to the wolves. It's a case of preparing, and I'm glad ToonZ brought it up earlier, because it's a case of, hey, you're really proficient in this one area, but these other areas you're doing terrible at. If you're good enough in one area, you graduate. And some people might be saying, but I want to be a little good at a little bit of everything. And you would learn the basics: ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu. There could be exercises where you learn stealth, because I've said it 100 times before, it makes no sense how there's a game about ninjas and we haven't had a single stealth element in it besides, oh, hey, my dog escaped from my house for this mission. You need to go catch it.
Hey, Konohamaru's probably got the best stealth of anyone in the entire series, and he held the thing up the wrong direction, so...
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I do think it's a case of, obviously there would be a case of you can graduate once you're ready, but if it's a case of, hey, I never learned this at the academy, maybe I could spend a little more time, or after I graduate, I could go back and relearn this stuff, because I don't think my character, as I've said, would be the most proficient with genjutsu, but it's a case of, you can always learn, it's just a case of when you decide to do it.
And even if it could be, again, if that's like one of your weaknesses, you might be able to get to the point where you can only release it, but you can't cast it yourself. So learning different aspects of the jutsu, so you don't pass out if it's used against you.
Yeah, heck, apparently Ten can release genjutsu. It's not a widely known fact, but apparently it's a thing she can do.
So I did have one idea that I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, but it was
Go for it.
an idea of mission scroll. So it would be, from my experience with open world games, it would make like a collectible that is more worth collecting. And my way of imagining that it would work is that you find them out, and when you open them and read them, it activates as if it's a mission report from something, and you play this historic match. So it could be something like you find out why Minato has a flee on site order, and you play as, like, if you're using one of the other villages, you play as a Jonin from that other village watching Minato get killed, and your goal is just to survive at that point. But it's stuff like that, just a whole bunch of, like, these big historic moments that you don't really see in the anime, but would be really fun to play through for a few minutes. And you get to experiment with different characters. It just builds you a slightly different character kind of randomly.
Yeah, I would be down. I would be down for that in a sense, because as much as we would love to do our own story, just disconnecting it completely from the lore of Naruto could be a massive mistake.
And as I said, with a lot of big open world games, collectibles just become one more thing you gotta go do, but this would make it fun. It gives you a whole new thing to actually go and do. It lets you test a playstyle that may not be your normal one, and so it's like, oh, maybe I'll build a character again and play another village in this style instead.
Yeah, exactly. I think I don't have anything more for that. Like I kind of have my notes in a set order, but it's one way or the other. It's fine.
Okay, that was kind of the big thing I thought of. Was like just something different. It's allowed, and it would probably satiate a lot of the people who like the Storm games, because then you're still getting to play as the occasional, maybe would be one of the big characters from that.
Sure. And
I could definitely see that, especially like if you wanted to incorporate, like, this is post Great Ninja War, the next one that we get with Pain and everything. You can incorporate, like, oh, we see these moments like Naruto fighting Pain, or we get these moments of, like, Sasuke and Naruto, even their fights, and you get to have those collectibles that give people something outside of, because there are some people who that's their whole thing. It's like, we want the collectibles of the game, we want to see the little Easter egg that they have. We're not even really too concerned with the story.
Exactly. And maybe it gives little unlockables for, like, oh, you get a headband for this other village, even though it's not yours, that you could technically switch to using, but you're still part of the other village kind of thing.
yeah, Shinobi Striker said that. It's like, hey, we know you're from this village, but here's a headband from this other village. Do you get anything from it? No, it's purely cosmetic. Okay.
Oh well.
But I guess in a
I
sense,
mean, it could be used in an interesting way with, like, the infiltration or something.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah, in a sense. But I'm gonna be honest. I had a lot more. I had some more stuff for the Academy I kind of wanted to go over. So it could be a case for me as if you're if you're in the Academy, you have your own. Obviously you have your own stuff to do. You have your own classmates and everything, but you have your own classmates in the sense of the more time you spend with them, the closer you'll feel. And your teacher might be like, hey, these three work really well together, or these three work well together, or these three might need improvement. And depending on how well you do, your teacher just automatically says, you three hang out a lot, you kind of get each other, you cover for each other's weaknesses, congrats, you're a team together.
Interesting.
I could see that. I like that. That's that would definitely make it that would make it more interesting, because instead of the game just outrightly telling you, oh, these are going to be your teammates, like, then that gives you control over, because I guess to build on it, you could even say, like, you could see their stats when you go to talk to them. So like what things that they would be good at if it was improved as the story progresses, as they gain more experience. What things would they be more likely to improve on, so that way they could cover your weaknesses?
Yeah. Or vice versa. And obviously none of these, like, and this is not necessarily a gameplay thing, but not all of these characters should just be the same personality wise. Some could be more serious, some could be more comedic, but all of them have their strengths and weaknesses as usual.
And I could definitely see it being something that while you have your squad that will be at least through the first part of the game, once you're I guess a getting in the game, you'd partner with this group, but as the story progresses, other characters would come back in when you're tuning Doni because you're not on that same team anymore. You've got to partner with new people.
Yeah. Now, as for who your sensei is, I don't know. That's the one thing I was like, oh, like I like this idea. I like this idea. Well, who's your sensei? I don't know. I don't know. I didn't come up with anything for that. That's me being straight up.
I think going into like the idea of like, let's say we do mission, or let's say in the academy you do get a mission. You get like, hey, this is gonna be your mission, and depending on how it goes, let's say it's like a mixture of combat, time, and like stealth. Depending on how that mission goes, what you get depends on your mentor. So instead of it being like a one click to get whichever mentor, you get like, hey, you did really well at this part, bad at this, and okay at this. You're gonna get this sensei because they're also really good at this, and they have worked to gain skill in the other places that you lack, and they will be your sensei throughout your time in the academy.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that, especially considering when you look at Naruto itself. But when you really take a look at the squads, the sensei they were paired with make no sense whatsoever. Like Kurenai was a Genjutsu specialist and taught her team no Genjutsu. She was a great teacher, but just jutsu, like skill-wise, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that made sense technically was Asuma, and that was just because it was lore accurate according to the lore he created after that.
Yeah, it's like all Sarutobis get Ino Shikacho people, except in Boruto. It's like, what? Seems like you're going back on the lore you said. He knows what he's doing more than I do. What do I know?
That's fair.
Or it could be like Toriyama, and he forgot.
Yeah. But either way, and kind of going back to like the style of jutsu, your Kekkei Genkai and stuff, that should be something that's a process. Like I said before, it's a process. You shouldn't be able to use the Sharingan when you're a student in the academy. It's not, I don't want to completely say it's locked in by the story necessarily, but maybe something along those lines, because it should, like I said, it shouldn't be easy to do all of this in the beginning.
Yeah, I could see it being one where you have to go on a mission that's for that, like that one specifically. You have to go on a mission that's difficult enough that one of your allies may go down, whether they're killed or knocked out or whatever. But it's something to trigger a big emotional event to unlock it at first.
Absolutely. I want them to go Uchiha. I want them to go full Uchiha. Absolutely not. I need full Uchiha. Kill the family.
It's just like, oh, well, my best squad mate is down and I have the Sharingan. I could save me by getting the Mangekyo Sharingan, but then I have to kill my teammate. Ooh, tough call. No, I wouldn't do that. But, well, it doesn't even necessarily have to be that detailed per se, but just, I don't know, some type of system where it's kind of like going Super Saiyan. It's not something that's just like, here you go, you're a Super Saiyan, or hey, make your back tingle and you get your Kekkei Genkai. There should be some way of fully unlocking it.
I can agree to that. I think some may be easier that are more just like the regular jutsus that you can start learning the basics of their techniques, but some would require a lot of growth to get.
Yeah, and you shouldn't necessarily learn everything through the same person. Like hypothetically, if you meet up with, let's say, Kakashi, and you're like, "Hey, I want to learn Shadow Possession," is he able to do it? Probably, but I would never think to myself, he's the person I'm going to go to learn this. Specific people should be able to teach you specific things. A Genjutsu master teaching you Genjutsu. That you understand what I mean?
Yes, 100%. I think having those are things that would, again, help build the depth and the lore of the game. I think that would be something that's like after you graduate from the academy and the actual open world gets to be opened up to you. Okay, now let's say you started in the Rock Village, but you want to go to the Leaf Village to learn a specific jutsu. now you have to leave. Now that you're out of the academy, you have to leave and go to the other village and face the perils and all of the enemies that are along the way. Um, that actually, I guess I said it, and that's something that I thought about, which is kind of similar to Elden Ring. It's even though the entire map is open to you from the jump, there are certain parts of the map you should not go to until you're stronger. Point blank, period, because you will get killed. The enemies there, it doesn't scale in the sense of like the traditional, like, oh, as you get stronger, the enemies get stronger. No, the first area even will have an enemy strong enough that if you are not careful will kill you, and you will not be able to beat it until you get a higher level. Your best bet is to run, to use your ninja skills to run away. That's the kind of thing that I think would help give that extra challenge versus just I'm gonna button mash and I'm gonna button mash until I beat him. Like, no, you need to use actual like skill. You need to use your weapons that are afforded to you. You need to be able to use like the jutsu that you have at your disposal at that time.
Yeah. And you could even with train, like, even if it's a case of, hey, you're not doing a mission right now and your squad mates are just sort of hanging out. Why don't you ask your sensei if if he wants to train with you? And there could be different settings like, hey, we want you to train us a little bit and just make sure we're kind of up to snuff. And like, come at us like you want to kill us. And obviously your sensei very early on should be able to mop the floor with you. But
Yep.
as the game progresses, you get stronger and stronger, and you're able to kind of figure them out. But just training, and just even if it's just, hey, let's just fight one-on-one, could be something really beneficial.
It'd be interesting if a way of progressing where you have choices of how the sensei interacts with you, and you get different benefits. Like maybe, oh, if you select that really hard training, you will also enter your next mission with slightly lowered stamina for stuff. So there could be, but you've learned a lot more in that short amount of time.
Yeah, heck, and even if it's kind of, I kind of picked this up from Persona 5 Royal when you go up against the Velvet Room twins in their mission. It's not necessarily, hey, you lost, so you gain nothing. It's, hey, you lost, but you made a lot further than you did last time. So we're going to give you praise and some props for that.
Okay.
I can see that.
Because, dear Lord, if I'm losing every single match and then getting nothing from it, I'll just be sad. But I guess we're talking about bringing up Persona a little bit. There should be somewhat of a system with your teammates. Hey, it's the more you progress with your teammates, the closer you are with them. They're kind of able to pick up and be like, hey, I know this technique and I can help you with it, or hey, I found this really cool item that I know you could use, because, like, I know you're a swordsman. I found this really cool sword. Why don't you? I'm not a swordsman. Why don't you take it?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about weapons. Like, okay, so I could definitely see it being something you have to master or study under. So if your character has no skill in swords, you're like next to impossible to actually use effectively in combat. You're just kind of waving it in front of you.
Yeah, it doesn't do as much damage. It might break more easily, something along those lines.
And I think kind of like the idea, because even though I've been saying a bunch of Elden Ring, I did kind of use some real world application when I was thinking about like weapon. Like I could right now, realistically, if I had one with me, I could go pick up a katana. Does not mean I'm going to know what to do with it or how to properly wield it. And it's only going to take time and practice for me to get to where I yield it. I think that could easily be used in the game where it's like, let's say you do face off against an enemy, they drop their weapon, you decide, I'm going to pick up this weapon, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to have it as my weapon now. All right, cool, but now you don't have the stats for it. You don't have the strength for it. You don't have the weapon handling skill for it. And you're basically hurting yourself because, let's say, it uses more stamina in order to use it because you're not proficient in it. Or it uses more chakra because it's a weapon that you have to put your chakra into in order to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And not to like kind of toot my own horn or anything, but if my character comes from the Mist Village, it's all about swordsmanship. So you should be able to have a leg up on like, okay, you're from the Mist Village. If you're not good at sword, like you have to be good at sword mastery to some extent. Or if you're part of another village, you get a different benefit. Off the top of my head, I don't know what, but that could persuade people to be like, what village do I pick? Like sometimes what clan do I pick? What Kekkei Genkai do I want is fine, but what village do I want to be in? Because that determines how fast I learn certain stuff.
A good example would probably be like the Hidden Sand. You could be a puppet master easier than the other villages.
I like that idea. I could vibe with that.
While we're on the subject of weapons, something that I think, and I'm probably misremembering, in the show, you only have a set number of kunai at any point in time. Like you're not just like throwing them out unless that's a part of your ability just to be able to create more. You only have a set number. So I think that would be cool if, let's say, you can only ever carry like 10 kunai with you, like 5 paper bombs with you at any point, and once you throw them, you have to go somewhere to either make more or you have to like go and find more at any somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you don't just have an infinite number that you're just like, yeah.
I like that idea because, especially with the creating part and limiting where you can do it. You can't just do it out in the world. I'm thinking like the Legends Arceus, you have to go to the camp, or you're in your village and you can make them there, but you can't just make them in the middle of nowhere to go all out.
And there could be like, even if it's not like a giant village or a town, there could be like it showed all the time. It's like, hey, we're gonna stop at this little town or this little inn. You could spend time making your stuff there. Obviously, if you go to a town or a village, they might have more for you to work with. But if your mission is taking, and not real days, but if it's taking like, oh, we're gonna be gone for a week on this mission, you're gonna want to make more stops frequently. And once you do that, then it's a case of, oh, we stopped in this town, let's get some food, let's recharge our batteries before we head out tomorrow.
That's something I just thought of. You can select how you're loaded out for a mission to start out. So, because we've seen it throughout the series that there are times that they go out with just their little circle pouch on their, like the back of their belt, but other times they go out with full backpacks and like ponchos and all this other extra gear. So I'd say, especially once you get higher up, like if you are Jonin and you're setting up the mission, you get to pick how the team goes loaded out. Are you going out for a long mission? Bring the extra gear. If you're going out for a short mission, take just what you need to carry to move as fast as possible to get it done.
Yes. And as you progress, like become a Jonin, some of the missions get a lot more difficult. But the rewards are that much better. You get better money. You could find more difficult enemies. Gain new scrolls for jutsu. Heck, I like the idea of, because they've done this before, if you find scrolls, and depending on the scroll you find, it does the jutsu, or it sends out a bunch of kunai and stuff. Now, obviously, some scrolls should be rare, but that could persuade you to be like, oh, this scroll has this jutsu, and we just learned it. Maybe I should learn this jutsu, or maybe one of my teammates can learn it.
Yeah. Wait, depending on when this game, because we really haven't talked about when it's taking place.
I don't know, man.
Too much. It could technically have the whatever it's called that they use and that Boruto uses in cheats to have all these extra jutsus. So, but it's rare to find these little capsules with the more powerful jutsus.
And of course, with more powerful treasures you find, it's not like these should just be sitting around. In some cases, you might have to figure out like a puzzle, or there are a lot of enemies around, and there could even be a system regarding stealth of, oh, if I take out this one enemy and put them in the bushes, no one's gonna notice. But if I take out this enemy and leave them lying around, these enemies aren't completely stupid. They're gonna find a way. Hey, so either there are no bodies for the guards to notice, or no guards to notice the bodies. So stealth or Russian stealth.
Very true.
And it doesn't even have to be some missions are, oh, beat all these people. Sometimes it could be go get intel. Hell, make sure you're not caught while you're finding the intel. Once you find everything you can, come back.
So almost kind of like a Hitman type deal.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Because, like I said, as much as I love Naruto, the idea that it's just, oh, fight everybody can get kind of tedious. And not, obviously, it could be a case of, well, be careful, because not all the information you're going to learn is going to be helpful. Sometimes it's easier to come back and say you found nothing than to bring back bad information. But that's things could get complicated at that point, and I don't know how that would fully work. But if it done well, it could be great.
Oh, absolutely. I if hmm, if I had to vote, because it was mentioned, we've said it a couple times already in this video, I would vote that the amount of space for this game would be right before the pain arc, all the way up and through to what would be essentially the start of the Boruto anime. I think that would be a good stretch of time. So that way we're not replaying through everything we've already seen. We're not replaying through everything we've already known about the game. We're playing through a great war. We're playing through a lot of like heavy things that happened in the universe all the way through its time of peace.
And that would unlock most of the characters as good options for mentors, because even like, because that would make Konohamaru and his group a little bit older, so if you wanted to learn something from them, I don't know if you would want to learn the snot bubble technique, but if it's what you want to learn, you can learn it.
Yeah, I am okay with that. But I also, I'm bringing up Persona a good bit. There also could be times where it's like, hey, this is going to be the time here where everything's heavy. You need to be prepared. You might be fighting people off for a while, but there also could be moments where it's like, hey, if you just want to relax or train or do some minor little missions, you have plenty of time to do that as well. Because in a sense, this game should be about choice. If everybody's doing nothing and sitting on their hands, that's not interesting. But if everybody's locked into one specific goal or one specific mission, then it like I said, just choices should matter.
Yeah, I kind of in that vein, the idea I just had was based on what we've talked about, where like you steal the scroll from one of the other hidden villages or something. You can end up in one of the other villages' bingo books, like to the point where like you're just on the verge of being hunted down. They may show up randomly as like bounty hunters or something trying to get you, and all this little stuff. You can't really pay it off. It's affected you with that relationship. You can't go back to that village pretty much. I could see it locking you out of areas.
Yeah, at the same time though, we've seen with characters like Gar in particular, you can build relationships even after doing horrible things, but depending on what you do. Like hypothetically, let's say somebody from another village attacks you and you kill them in self-defense. But you've done nothing to deserve it. That shouldn't really affect anything. Hey, but if it's a case of you steal a powerful scroll, then that should be a lot harder. That you should have to do some extra work to redeem yourself if you even want to. Maybe you don't.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was something that I thought about just right literally before we started this, was the idea of kind of like I think it's Infamous Second Son, where it's like you can choose where you are, good, neutral, evil, and based on the path that you choose throughout the game as you play the main story, that could affect what your ending is. Because similar to Elden Ring has like 7 endings. You could do specific missions and specific things that's going to get you these specific missions. So like one would be, oh, you become the Hokage of your village. That's the end of the game, the main story for that path. Oh, you become the most decorated and honored ninja of your village, and you go and you retire in like the lap of luxury because of all of your great work that you've done. Oh, you become the new teacher for the academy, and you're now the guy that like everybody looks up to because you're teaching all the next generation. Or you caused the next great ninja war. You threw the entire ninja world into disarray, and it is nothing but ash and death following your wake. Like those could be very like I would like that kind of stuff because it's like now I get to choose. Like you said, it's choice, it's choices. I get to choose what I want. And I get to choose: do I want to make the world a better place, or do I want to leave it in the dust? Quite literally.
It gets to the point where Donzo's like, "Oh my god, look, I'll do whatever I can. I'll team up with anybody to stop this one son of a bitch. It's this one guy
Literally.
who's ruining everything for everybody. You become that evil, or something." Or in my case, it's like, huh, you did a lot of great stuff, but I did a lot of great stuff. I'm retiring and opening a curry shop. You could become Mizukage. No, too much work. Who wants curry?
That's very true.
You guys have. I guess in one case, we should talk about one thing: summoning.
Oh.
I was thinking of this, and I can see it being one of two ways, or you can unlock it one of two ways. You either meet someone you've taken as a master who will help you unlock and get and sign the contract with that species, or you go on some journey, kind of how it's implied with how Jiraiya kind of did it and all that, and that's how you. Either way is how you have to do it to get your contract with whatever you want to be as your summon.
Yeah, and it also could, and also if you learn this early on, great. But your chakra control is terrible, so you're going to be summoning tadpoles for a while now, like Naruto.
Yeah, and it is just you summon the young or a weaker version of whatever you're trying to summon.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you progress and as your chakra gets better, you could summon the giant things. Like I said, I'd summon the giant clam and use its genjutsu to mess with people.
I see this being very unique based on how you and how you unlock it. I can also see affecting it. So, if you meet Yamabuta, you eventually can summon him. But if you don't meet him, maybe he's not the one you can summon up to. Maybe you get a weaker version.
Yeah, and they kind of imply that. Here's the thing: I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how fully true this is, or if it's just something that they implied. But they seem to make it as in you get kind of one main summoning. I mean, Sasuke can summon snakes and a hawk, but like you shouldn't be able to go toad, salamander, snake. Like to me, that gets a little ridiculous. It's like maybe like I'm like, oh, I learned how to summon a giant clam, but I talked to my teammate and I'm like, hey, there are these giant sharks that you might be able to summon, and maybe you could work on that. And like maybe I find a scroll or find a place to go to, and I can show them this is where you can go. Maybe try learning this if you're up for it.
You can also see this being locking you into a specific sage mode that you can eventually study for, but you're limited to whatever your main summon is. That is the type of sage you can become. So you can become a toad sage, from a snake sage, you can become an eagle sage, whatever. But that's what you're locked into.
Gotta find out what the hell a clam sage is, though.
Oh my lord.
You turn into a complete mollusk and you just terrify everybody. It's like that episode of SpongeBob where it's like, so how'd this go down? It all started when I was born, and you're just a monster.
Oh goodness, that'd be wild.
Yeah, but I know I bring them up a lot, but I do like the idea of your teammates meaning something. Hey, like you being on your own, to me, I guess you could do that if you want to, but I like the idea of, hey, you have your own squad, you have your own teammates, they have their strengths, weaknesses, you get to know them, they become your closest friends if that's what you want to do.
I could see that.
I want them to be main characters, but I also want them to be kind of, I think it's Fire Emblem where you can lose main characters and it affects how the story progresses. So if you're Genin and get put on a B ranked mission, there's a chance that they die during the mission and it affects you and how the story continues from there.
Yeah, as someone who has played multiple Fire Emblem games, it is like that to an extent. But in the Fire Emblem games, you can also change it if you want. Like, hey, there's this one setting where if you play the game, when your teammate dies, they die. Hey, but there's another setting where it's not necessarily a difficulty setting, but it's like, hey, if your teammate dies, they just get knocked down. You can't use them for the mission, or you have to beat the enemy, get them to a town so they can rest up. Honestly, I'm okay with people saying I don't want to lose characters permanently, but that could be a case of just easy, medium, hard, or permanent death, or just whatever they would call it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could see it being like a setting you could set. It's like this will change how your story progresses, but you can have them knocked out for most of the mission, weaker throughout the rest of the mission, or you lose them in the story, kind of thing.
The second my teammate's about to die, pause, switch. Okay, you're fine. You'll be knocked out for like 5 minutes, but we'll be good. But the enemy's like, but that's not fair. I don't care. I don't care. You're a bandit. You don't have a name.
Very true. All right, so I have a question, and I'm curious. Would you guys want the game to allow for fast travel? And I don't just mean fast travel to the major villages. I mean like if you have these smaller known towns or inns that you have passed along villages and you've already stopped there and you've already interacted with the people there, you can even fast travel to them if you need to.
Sure. Obviously, for me, it could be a case of, hey, if you fast travel rather than walking there, you could miss out on something. But if you want to fast travel, I think it should be okay. In most circumstances, if you're getting beaten up by enemies, just fast traveling out of there doesn't seem fair. But for the most part, it could. For the most part, I'm cool with it.
Go ahead.
I was really more so specifically meaning like, let's say you're out somewhere. You're not fighting anybody. You're like halfway through the map, but you're just like, ooh, I really need to go to the rock village because I need to grab da 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 da. You can just go into the menu, hit fast travel, and go there versus trying to be like, okay, where am I on the map? Okay, I gotta go back this way.
That would be I would be going the wrong direction.
Exactly. So I think like fast traveling just to help cut down on the amount of time that you're having to like run in the game to get where you're trying to go.
So I think, yes, fast travel would be a good thing to add, but the way I would implement it kind of is actually from my old favorite of the Naruto games, which is the Uzumaki Chronicles, where you can be interrupted in your fast travel and all of a sudden now you've got your fight off some bandits, another enemy ninja, someone coming after you for what you've done or who you are or something. Just little micro events that just pull you out of fast travel. You win the fight, then it's like, continue fast traveling, or would you like to just play the open world from here?
As long as it wasn't as frequent as Uzumaki Chronicles, because it felt like every you took 2 steps and you got attacked. I'm like, okay, this game is getting harder, but not in a fun way. It's getting harder in a this is kind of ridiculous sort of way.
Yeah, no, I just mean like it's like 1 per fast travel, and that's. But I would say it who you face and how difficult it is based on like you're actually in enemy territory but fast traveling. You're higher chance of meeting someone and they're going to be more difficult. But if you're in friendly territory, there's just less chance, and probably if they do show up, it's probably weaker.
Yeah. And I do want the ability to jump through the trees. Like Rise of the Ninja on the Xbox did that, and it was a lot of fun. It's kind of weirds me out how Naruto games don't really do that. Like, yeah, you have to jump through trees. Yes, your character is required to do the Naruto arms behind your back run. That is required.
I think, as far as for like jumping through the trees, I think that should, and I think it's also because I've kind of been, I won't call it poisoned, but my mind has been tainted by FromSoft. I think that should be challenging in and of itself too, because I don't think it should just be like you just hit the button and it does it over like 20 trees. I think you should have to like continually focus and hit whatever button you're like, hit the jump button whenever you hit a tree to be able to go to the next one. Like, I don't think it should just be like an automatic thing to just let you do it. I think it should be like they're having to focus while they're doing it in the Naruto verse, even if it is easier for them. So you should have to focus while you're doing it as well. And that could even go into the chakra control thing. Maybe your chakra's not high enough for you to be able to run up the tree to get up there to be able to hop along the tree. Maybe it's not high enough for you to be able to run across the water.
And it could even go in regards to, hey, if you're with a group of people, like if the three of us are in a squad together, we decide to do a mission together. I guess that could be an online capability. I could think to myself, hey, Jay, hey, your health is super low right now. We don't have a whole lot of supplies. You stay closer to the back. You stay closer to the middle, so you stay closer to the back. I'll be up front because of my defense. Richard, keep your eyes on them. And even if it's just NPCs, you could tell somebody, hey, you stay a little further back, or you be up front just in case.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. And imagine having to do missions as a team, but you actually do have to make a difference. So someone selecting a healer could be a big thing. It may not be the most glamorous job in the entire game, but it's an important one if you plan to do the PvE where you have your online friends playing with you.
Yeah,
PvP or something.
Heck, even if you do that and the mission's successful, maybe you could even be a system of, say, like kind of like Grand Theft Auto in the sense of, you weren't the one fighting everybody, but you healed everybody, so you did the best job, and whoever does the best can get better rewards or more points based off of it. This way, the person running off on their own, not doing anything to help anybody, doesn't get nearly as many points as the healer who hides back.
Yeah, I could see that, and then I could also see it affecting how the story plays out. So if you've selected and built a healer, and we get to the Ninja Wars, you're not on the front lines unless you're a combat medic. You're in the medical tent, and you've got to heal as many people. You might get pulled in with the White Zetsu part of the story, but other than that, you still mostly focused on your healing parts.
How long have we been sitting here? About 45 minutes. What do you mean? We're winning. Our village is that powerful. So I'm a healer and I'm not needed. No, just sit around and wait. Maybe if somebody subs their toe, you'll be fine. It'd be so sad.
As I said, for that part though, you'd get a big interaction in the medical tent with the White Zetsu. Like maybe you're one of the ones that's helping discover who they actually are.
Yeah, and I get we've talked about a little bit that you should be able to progress. Like, you don't be a genin for your whole life if you don't want to be. Maybe you want to become a Chunin and face different stuff, but the Chunin exam should not just be beat this guy up and you're done. They've tried doing this in the video games before. The Chunin exams. Answer these questions. What's Naruto's favorite food? I'm like, why the hell is this on the requirements for becoming a Chunin exam? What sense is?
I mean, if you're doing it after the fourth Great Ninja War, then it might be on the test now.
Yeah, but what enemy's gonna be like? I'm going to kill you. Naruto's favorite food is ramen. Okay, damn it, you can live.
But I could see, giving, I don't know, more focused on like, okay, you've got an enemy that's weak to, or that's a water jutsu user. What would be your best bet to use against them to win the fight and stuff like that?
Yeah, and even as it could be a case of like kind of in the original series. Hey, you guys mission to progress through the Chunin exams is you have the Heaven Scroll. You have to go get the Earth Scroll. And you could take it from an enemy. But if you see another team that you're kind of friends with and they're struggling and you save them, and they progress with you, they're like, hey, we wouldn't, as much as I hate to admit it, we wouldn't have gotten this far without you guys. And that it could build up your chemistry with a lot of different people, or just be like, Richard's squad over there. My spleen. Yeah, I gotta go. Have fun.
And I could see with the Chunin exams, I could see them upping the difficulty so that you're not just beating up on other people that are supposed to be the same level as you. So
I want it to be unfair. I want unfair. I want you to go up against the enemy that you have, like, their proficiencies are your biggest weaknesses. I want you to have to fight for that. I want you to be able to, let's say you do lose in the tuning exams and you do get eliminated and you're not able to be a tuning. I do want you to be able to go back and redo it, but I want it to be hard. I want you to fight for your position. You're supposed to be a ninja and you're supposed to want to be one of the best ninjas. You need to prove that you are one of the best ninjas. Fight against somebody that can do things that you can't. Fight against someone that speed is like tripled yours. I want to see that.
You're a sadist.
Or
a masochist. I don't know. Maybe both.
I could heavily see that though in like the round 3 areas, or if they have to have a preliminary. But I could see it being like you can go after any of the squads that are listed as an option for this level in the second round. So you're going after the scroll, but you're going after it and trying to. You can pick out, okay, I'm going after this team. Oh, they have the same scroll as me. I don't care anymore, and you back off, or you just take them out and leave them there, and then move on to your next option. And yes, you could go after, and maybe that'd be an interesting thing. If you go after the squad that's like covers all of your weaknesses or all of your team's weaknesses, they're guaranteed to have the scroll you need. But they are going to be stronger than you because they cover everything that you're weak against and are programmed to be difficult.
Yeah. And even once you get to the part where it's like, okay, we're going to have this computer set up and you're going to progress and you're going to fight. If you win that fight, congrats, you make it to the final round. But you're gonna have to wait. We have to clean the blood off of this place. Also, we're not using this place again. So you have a little bit of time to study with your sensei or somebody else to be like, hey, you have this many set of days. If you want to skip ahead, in some cases, I guess that's fine. But in a case of, hey, you're going up, I'm a taijutsu master, and I'm going up against somebody who is a long-range fighter. So I'm gonna talk to my sensei and be like, hey, I need help. But on the conversely, it's not like your opponent's going to be sitting around reading a comic book. They're going to be like, hey, you're really good with water. I'm going to find a way to stop that.
I could see it very much being one of those where it's kind of similar to like the NFL, like Madden games and stuff, where you can simulate the training, but you're not guaranteed to get like the highest results if you're not having already finished and mastered all of them. But you could also, if you go in and play through the little mini game to do the training, you do get, you can get the full benefits and all that.
Yeah. And even if you lose in the first round of the tournament, the proctor's going to be like, hey, you did really, really good with this. You were eliminated in the first round, but we saw what you did. So congrats, you're a tuning now. And if you win the whole tournament, then it's like, hey, you won, but dude, you suck. You're not a tuning.
Yeah, if you go on like a full-on beatdown, it's like you don't show any leadership, you just beat the crap out of the person or every person in the tournament. You don't do it.
Yeah, but I'd like to think and hopefully these tuning exams don't get interrupted like every other tuning exams on screen seem to, because I'd be so angry because even Genma was like, hey, Sasuke, you pass. Go after the sand siblings, and then Sasuke wasn't even promoted.
Yeah. So I guess speaking of interrupted, what about the tailed beasts? How do you want to handle them in this?
You should be getting your ass kicked by these things. You should be frustrated fighting these things.
Agreed. But I also think that they should be reserved, especially if we are going to include all of them, they should be reserved for specific times in the story. Like, you're not just randomly out and then you just happen upon one of the guys that's one of the Jinchuriki. Like, you should specifically only fight them when it called for in the story, especially if it's gonna take literally everything in you to beat them.
Yeah. I was gonna say it could be sort of similar to an online event. If you beat it, you get massive rewards. But it's also a case. It's kind of similar to Grand Theft Auto, and like Pavel tells you when you're doing the Cayo Perico stuff. Hey, you could do this mission on your own, but it's going to be a lot more difficult. But you're also able to keep more of the rewards for yourself. If you go in with people, it's easier, but you do have to split the profit. But there will be more of it.
I like that. I like that. I think that would make it, like you said, I think that would make it a lot easier for them to incorporate if as it being like an online event. So it's like, oh well, on from this date to this date, you log into the game, you're gonna find a mission to go and apprehend or to go and kill this tailed beast.
Yeah, because I do think it could be a case of you can either play online or play offline. Because look, I give the people who work on Shinobi Strikers a lot of credit. It cannot be an easy job. I'm very grateful for all the hard work they're putting in. But this past like 2 week period where PlayStation players couldn't play the game pretty much at all because the servers are down. If you want me to pay for a game, that's I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I definitely see this need to be more of a yes, you can play offline, but if you play online, then there's more options, new rewards, online events, and you can play with friends.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love for there to be like online specific rewards. Like and not to say of a paywall, but like definitely not a paywall, no paywall, but like if you play online and you do specific missions while online, you get specific reward. Like there might be some jutsu that you cannot get unless you do the mission while online, or like there are certain weapons that you can't get unless you do it online with squad members that are also online. Like those would be things because one that would cause for more people to play with more real people. I know that that is a big complaint to a lot of people that play games. That's like, oh, well, it's fun and I enjoy playing it. And yeah, they have these online events, but it's like, I'm not playing with other real people. I'm just playing with a programmed computer that their programming only goes so far. Versus if I play with other real people, it's like, oh, I can see what kind of crazy stuff they got, what kind of crazy stuff they can do. Like that kind of increases the amount of fun that you can have.
I would still probably exclusively play with you guys, but who knows?
Oh, 100%, 100%.
I mean, the occasional match teamed up with someone who, just to see if they have something very interesting, could be a lot of fun. But yeah, I agree. Playing with people you actually know would probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I guess for me at least, I do like the idea that like of incorporating tailed beasts. But at the same time, though, part of me is also kind of like it should. I feel like I don't have a specific way of doing it, so I would put my foot down and say, hey, you can fight tailed beasts, but taking one for yourself, I don't fully know how I feel about that. I would probably say no this time. Maybe if the game gets a sequel, then we'll maybe they'll think about it.
Oh yeah, I think it would be, and how I thought about possibly incorporating it, especially like you said with the sequel, in the second like the sequel game, it would be like a roll chance of being tailed beast user, and it's like you have like a 0.01% chance, but there is still that chance that you could be. So it's like you would roll for it when you create a character.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do appreciate you saying, hey, this is luck, this is chance, but that's one of those things I'm kind of okay with being chance, because I did some research and there are people who have said, oh, if you have a Kekkei Genkai, it should be random, or you should have the chance of not getting one. It's like, and he's like, because if you were born into the Naruto world, you wouldn't be able to pick it. And I'm like, I appreciate that mindset, but at the same time, like in some cases, it's okay. In some cases, it's a case of, oh, I want to pick this because if I'm like, for example, if I'm part of Haku's clan, and if I'd say I want to be part of Haku's clan, the game tells me no, you're getting something random. I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna keep restarting the game until I get something I want, similar to the first mystery dungeon games.
Yeah,
Very true.
I could see it being something like, as you said, if this gets a sequel, then it would be almost like you could pick like you could have stats that you have to specifically meet to become to like okay, now you have a chance to become a Jinchuriki. If you increase these stats further, you can become a true or Jinchuriki or whatever they are, pure Jinchuriki. I forgot what the term was that they use, but yeah. But you have to go on a mission. It's like, okay, and it gives you the options of those that I guess if it's just taking place at this time, it would be like all of them except for the 9 and the 8 tails. All the others are roaming the world somewhere at this point.
You just lead a giant invasion for the Nine Tails. That I do think starting wars could be potentially amazing in this game.
And that's something I think that you should be able to do based on that slider that I was telling you about, good or evil. If you go on the evil side, you start a great war, and you can basically lead the world into its next great ninja war.
Yeah. I would like a neutral option though, because a lot of games are, oh, you're good, oh, you're evil, but there's nothing between. I'm like, oh, I'd be fine just being like just neutral. Just sometimes I'll do bad stuff, but sometimes I'll help people. Just it just depends on how I'm feeling.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna help this one village in their one mission. Oh, this other village lost their sacred scroll. Oh no. Who would have done such a thing? Oh, I found the ninjas that have it. I killed them. Oh, I kept it for myself. Oh well.
Yeah. And I guess in some cases we should talk. We should talk in a sense of we talked about clans, and one thing I did forget to mention was I do think it could be a case of like your mom's this part of this clan and your dad's part of the same clan, or a case of they're both part of different clans, but it should make sense to some degree. Like if you have if your mom's from the Mist Village and your dad's from the Mist Village and they're from different clans, that makes sense. But if it's a case of oh well, your mother's an Uzumaki and your dad's an Uchiha, then it starts to get like wait, how the okay, sure.
That's not the best example because that one could technically have happened, but like
Oh,
I
okay,
know what
you
you're
come up
meaning.
with you come up with an example, Hotshot. Come on.
More like someone from the Hidden Mist is marrying someone from the Hidden Leaf or something like that.
You couldn't have said that. You were sitting on that, you bitch. As much as I hate to admit, though, that is a better example because like being from two clans, it's fine. But if it starts getting ridiculous, then things are gonna be like, oh, okay, this feels so much more fanficky than it needs to be.
Oh, absolutely. Because why is there someone from the Hidden Mist falling in love with somebody from the Sand Village? Not saying it couldn't happen, but it's like, why? What happened?
Speaking of, should there be a marriage system down? Like I've kind of thought of two minds of this. It's like I thought, oh, if it's a sequel and you have a save file, then you can re-upload that stuff. You can re-upload that stuff and put it in the next game, similar to like Mass Effect or something. But there are people who are saying, oh, I'd like to like find somebody, settle down, have my own kid with their own stats and that sort of thing. I don't know how I would fully go about doing it, but it is something I at least wanted to address.
Okay, well, I think it could be similar to Baldur's Gate. So, or at least Baldur's Gate 3. So in that, you can literally like you have all of your like party mates and everything, and the choices that you make affect how much they like you or if they approve or disapprove. And at some point, the more you talk to them, the more conversations you have with them, they could say, oh, well, I have come to have a great deal of admiration and respect for you. If this is something that you would like to pursue as well, then we could have a romance. Or you could say like, oh, well, I'm not really feeling it. I don't want to. And like, that's something I think that Baldur's Gate 3 did really well. I'm not going to speak any more about what they do with that whole system because I streamed it and I was like, oh my god, I can't show that on stream. Oh my eyes.
It would definitely encourage some certain people to buy the game if that's the direction it went. But I don't know. Getting rejected in real life and in the video game doesn't sound perfect for me. But I do think it could be a case of, hey, you feel strongly about this person. If you want to be with them, that's fine. Or if it's just a case of, hey, like these two people, they are my friend, they are my family. I love them. But it doesn't lead to anything more down the line. But a marriage system, if done right, could work. Like I said, though, I just don't know how I would do it. Richard, why you seem upset?
I've just been trying to think of how best to implement it, and I mean maybe it's if you have a romance, you don't have any sort of kid in the first game, but your sequel you are playing as the kid of your other one if you have that save file.
Yeah, and obviously you guys have to age up because you looking the exact same as you would as Genny would just be kind of freaky.
Or they unfortunately just kill you off screen. Or you
Probably.
go missing. Something happens.
There is an
He went-
there is an element in one of the Fire Emblem games where if you have a kid with somebody, they get sent to like this different area, and the area that they are in actually ages them up faster than usual. But that has to progress. Like you can't be the age you are at the academy and settling down, because once again that gets really kooky.
He took a mission to go get milk and he never came back.
I'm trying to save my daughter. The mission's just really hard in Fire Emblem. I'm trying. She's half dragon, I think.
You don't even know?
Things are rough. It's Felicia's job to inform me about that stuff. You know.
Oh my goodness.
But it doesn't even have to necessarily be like other clans or people from different clans. It could just be, hey, I've been going to this curry shop for a long time, and the daughter of the curry shop owner, she seems cool. It could be random people if you wanted to. Obviously, that's less interesting than people with certain powers, but the choice is yours.
And I would say it would also affect, as I said, if this got a sequel, this would affect what your next character would be if you were using your save file to create the character.
Yeah. My mom married a ninja, and she worked in the curry shop, so now I get curry for free.
And it creates a whole new set of jutsus just called the curry jutsus.
You know all the ridiculous stuff they put in Naruto. You have to imagine that there was worse stuff they didn't use. I'd like to think the curry stuff, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
It's just It's just a giant pot of curry that he uses a ladle and flings it at people.
Oh God.
I'm sad that's not canon. I want to see that now.
God, that'd be terrifying.
But I don't know how much more I have. I feel like a lot of my stuff kind of got touched on.
Same
with mine.
I guess the one last thing I would say is just because I played a few of the Mass Effect games, and when they start, you do have this selection of what you want your backstory to be. Maybe something like that, but that's at the very bottom of my notes. Like it's not even 2 sentences long. Well, everything else is like a paragraph's worth.
Right.
And with that, I mean, you kind of, if we're starting out in the academy and can get all the way to Jonin or ending as the Kage for your village, you're gonna build your own backstory throughout this.
Sure.
So, I mean, maybe if it's something like with your parents' backstory, but
I don't know. Like I said, that was one of those things where I'm like, I might have something, but I also kind of don't. So I just wanted to do that to go over all my notes, because after that, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I think we've covered just about everything.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, boys. I think I definitely like it more than the last time we did this video, where I was in my room and our mic qualities were terrible.
Oh, also, and this is just this is the callback to the first one. We have multiple hairstyles. Give us all the hairstyles. All of them. If I want to be a bald ninja, I can be a bald ninja, but don't you dare. The only hairstyle you better not ever put in that game would be a freaking bowl cut. Because I still want to fight Gaara's barber. Because how dare he?
Agreed. And look, you see me, you see ToonZ. I swear to God, if we put our complexion in this game and the only place we're allowed to be is the Hidden Stone Village, I'm gonna just let me pick the clans I want to pick regardless. I swear, because I'm gonna start throwing some hands.
This ain't a South Park game where the darker the complexion, the harder the game. Okay.
I swear, I still can't believe they got away with that. But
are you?
I'm not surprised, actually.
But exactly.
But I think I like this Naruto game. Is everything we came up with perfect? Probably not. But is it ever going to happen? I'd like to think at some point it might. Maybe we won't still be alive for it, but who knows? This isn't, and we didn't want to do this video to bash on the Naruto games we've gotten recently. It's just something different, and it's something a lot of people have been asking for. So it's like, why not? Let's throw our ideas out there.
Exactly. And it's been a while since I've had one that's Naruto game that's been like, oh, I really want to get that one. So I'm really hoping that something like this eventually comes.
Yeah, and if they take our ideas and don't pay us for it, honestly, I might be okay with it because we get an awesome game. So it's a win-win either way.
At the very least, if not paid, at least be like, oh, a lot of the inspiration was from the Anime Egotists. That way we can say like, yeah.
Yeah, and then it'd be like, well, and these are some of the good ideas they've had. It's like the 4 good ideas they've actually had. Have you seen the rest of their channel? And I'd be like, ow. I mean, you're not wrong, but ow.
And if a major site said that, we would all of a sudden have 500,000 subscribers. Right?
I was about to say that would actually like boost you guys up so much. I love
Yeah,
that.
but the harsh words would hurt. My therapist has enough to deal. She has enough to deal with.
Valid.
But anything else? Any last comments, concerns, or anything for this dream hypothetical Naruto game we've created?
No, I mean, as you said, this is a dream game. Do we know this is like 100+ hours of content that we've created here? So would we get the exact thing? Probably never. At least not in the modern world. But
Heck, maybe we'll get something better.
exactly.
Anything else before we close out?
Nothing that I can think of.
All right, so, ladies, gentlemen, anyone who identifies differently, what's your dream Naruto game? What mechanics would you have? Would you like to add anything onto the stuff we said? Change anything? What's been the favorite thing you've heard us talk about?
Exactly. And do you have any major ideas that we haven't had that you think we should come back and maybe do a sequel to this sequel's video?
Which I guess I can find a way for that. Oh, we could do it. Hey, ToonZ N GoonZ, thank you so much again for joining us, whether it was against your will or not.
It's fine. It's fine. They don't have the assassins trained on me right now as we speak.
I mean, maybe the 47th rank ones, but you seem to deal with them pretty well.
That's fair.
Please be sure to check out all the places ToonZ decides to stream and all the characters they add to games like Fortnite that make him go, why these people? What sense does it make?
You know, it's funny. Haven't played Fortnite in the newest season. They added Marvel, or they added more Marvel. They added like Doctor Doom and Mysterio. Haven't played it. Part of me is like, I love it, but it's at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with these 11-year-olds who should be worried about learning how to read above a 2nd grade reading level.
To be fair, I know some adults who can't do that, so it's cool. And please be sure to check out his podcast, the Drunk Texting Podcast, where you talk about drunk texting. I don't know what else there is to it.
Self-described, we are the Drunk Texting Podcast, where we have some drinks, talk some meth, and help you get through your thirsty Thursdays. And only we know how to. Check us out every Thursday at 10 a.m. because I know some people that get drinks at 10 a.m. on a Thursday. But yeah, we just kind of shoot the breeze. We have a good time. We talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. We do Would You Rathers. We discuss the anime. We even have some Am I the Asshole readings. So we just have a lot of fun, a lot of good times. It's on Spotify and on YouTube.
That is fantastic. And one last time before we close out, once again, thanks to Emparts for the awesome thumbnail. I probably won't be the last time. I am so sorry. I'm gonna keep finding you somehow.
But it's much appreciated.
Of course. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we'll see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
ToonZ N GoonZ!
And you have been listening to the Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.